let's talk quarterbacks, and let's tell it like it is. They touch the ball every time, other than the center, but they are the guys that are running the offense. You got Will Howard and Quinn Ewers, who started at Ohio State, and you talk to all the players that are on Ohio State's team.
Started his college career.
He started his career. Yes. Yeah, okay. Started his career at Ohio State. He played 3 snaps at Ohio State. With that said, Bobby, you look at these 2 quarterbacks, and obviously we'll talk about Will Howard in a minute, but you played with guys that transferred and whatever, but it's Emeka and a lot of these guys said, man, we're still close friends with. Is that possible in today's game?
I think that there's a good relationship. He came here, he reclassified. That was the first year of NIL, and they're trying to figure everything out. He came here, and I don't think there was any animosity when he left Ohio State. It wasn't like he came here, and people talk about the NIL and all this stuff. Like, it wasn't like Ohio State had paid him all this money to come to school or somebody associated with the program. So the guys had a good relationship with him. Quinn was never like an overbearing me guy. He kind of assimilated. He fit in. I think he roomed with Jack at times while he was here. They have a good relationship. They talked about this being the Quinn revenge game. Like, nobody kicked him on out of here. Like, he left and went to a great situation. Honestly, I hoped he had the most success in the world until he played Ohio State. And so you finally get this matchup. It's honestly the matchup the world kind of wanted. It would almost have been better if it was next week, but the fact that it's in the Cotton Bowl, it's in Texas, and you get to see these guys come back together, it's pretty special.
Nicole, you got a chance to visit with Quinn Ewers. Now, the one thing I loved about when he came here as a freshman and just a kid, he came in like the middle of camp and everything. I loved his mullet. It was fun. I'm thinking about growing one. I'm thinking about it. But you were with him the other day, and you came back, and she remarked to me, he's a good kid. I mean, he is a good kid.
Yeah, he's quiet. He's quiet up there. But you can tell, like, the moment he got a lot of questions about it. But the moment I asked him, he said he kind of smiled. Like, you could tell he was excited to see guys like Tyleik Williams, Jack Sawyer that he rooms with. I mean, just guys that he's been around the program with, and vice versa. Yeah. When I asked Emeka and Tyleik earlier this week, they're like, that's my boy, that's my guy, I love him. Like, there's nothing but respect for Quinn, and yes, his time in Columbus was short, but you were there too. Yeah. Somebody asked Quinn, was it a mistake, like going to Columbus? And he said, no. He said, no, absolutely not. Columbus was kind of what helped shape me to be the quarterback that he is now. I mean, like we said, he saw 3 snaps, but the tools he learned in Columbus, he took with him for a long time.
And the thing about it was, he was trying to change the world a little bit then, because they were trying to get the UIL, which runs high school athletics in the state of Texas, to approve high school athletes having NIL deals. Now this kind of broken that ice a little bit, but he was trying to make a point there, and Ohio State, it kind of was his oasis, for want of another term, that he could go to. It's really funny, though, when he walked behind us after his first practice, we're talking to Ryan Day in a little press conference, and I said, by the way, have you tried kombucha juice yet? Because that was, Quinn had already gotten a deal with kombucha juice, and Ryan sort of smiled, you know what I mean? But the point is, he was here 4 months. Emeka really liked this guy, really respected this guy. Emeka Egbuka, one of the salt-of-the-earth dudes you've ever met, play football at Ohio State, so you know where he's coming from. And I asked Quinn yesterday, I said, it's kind of ironic, right, and almost inevitable that one of these days y'all were going to play each other. And he kind of, understood what I was talking about, because what goes around comes around.
And it'll eventually, once they all go to the league, they'll play against each other. Bobby, let's talk about Ohio State's quarterback, and there's so many different storylines with Will Howard, coming from the Big 12. He played in AT&T, played against Texas. And, he's a guy that came to Ohio State and fell in love with this program. How much of this game is on his shoulders, do you think?
Well, he never beat Texas either, and so I think that that's a box that he's been looking to check. I think a lot of this falls on him from a leadership perspective. He's been throwing the ball unbelievably. The accuracy that he's been able to hit with has been phenomenal. But I think it's going to come down to turnovers. He hasn't turned the football over. You look at that Arizona State-Texas game, Quinn Ewers had a big interception that allowed Arizona State to get back in it. This Ohio State offense has played incredibly clean. And so the game's not going to be on Will Howard. They're going to get the ball out quick. They're going to run the ball. They're going to do all those things. But this team has begun to embody his personality. I think he embodies Ryan Day's personality, that passion, that excitement. You can see him on the field. You've been at the games, the hyping of the crowd, the emotion that he plays with. Those are the things that people can rally around, and I think the main key is, and Urban would talk about this, I've heard a lot of great coaches, to go out to win games like this when talent is equal, is you have to be able to play with an emotional intensity that your opponents are either unwilling or unable to match. And that starts with the leaders, and that starts with Will Howard.